So my fifth wheel failed, but not in the way that you might think. It actually failed in the opposite way, where it will not unlatch, and the trailer is now stuck to my truck. So this is a heavy haul truck designed to pull hundreds of thousands of pounds behind it, so it doesn't have your standard fifth wheel on it. This one has a double locking fifth wheel. And this handle right here is your standard jaws, and the handle that is supposed to be right here is a safety lock that holds the jaws closed from the back side. But as you can see, that handle's not there right now. And without being able to unlock the safety lock, you can't unlock the jaws, which means you can't get the trailer off the truck. Now this particular trailer is not an RGN, which stands for removable gooseneck, which is how a lot of low bed trailers work. This is a folding neck trailer, meaning you have to unhook it from the fifth wheel in order to lay this neck out and load and unload machines on the trailer. So in the last haul I did, I got to the site, fired up the engine in the back, put the landing gear down, go up there to go pull the fifth wheel releases to unlock the trailer, grab the first one and pull it, and just am grabbing air trying to find that second one because it's not there. The problem was the machine on the trailer was not one that is capable of going off the back of the trailer, so we had to figure it out. We got really creative. Luckily, again, being a heavy haul truck, this truck has spread drive axles on it. It's 5 foot 1 inch from the center of that axle to the center of that axle. A standard truck is 4 foot 4 inches. So this one has a lot more room in here to crawl underneath, which became really handy. Because what I had to do was get way under in here. If you see right there, there's a spring. That spring is what's holding the safety lock closed. And I had to get up over into here with a pry bar, pry the safety lock open, wedge the pry bar against the drive shaft here to hold the safety lock open, then go pull the normal jaws, then pull the truck forward while the drive shaft spun on the pry bar and shot the pry bar out of the back of the truck. But it got the kingpin just far enough forward that it was past the safeties before that shot off of there, and I was able to pull away from the trailer. Now, as I said, this is a heavy haul truck, so its suspension components are very big, as you can see. It's got a 3/8 frame doubled with another 3/8 frame inside of it, and these are 12.5 inch tall rails instead of the standard 10.5. So it's a beefy truck. This thing also weighs 26,000 pounds as a bobtail tractor with no trailer hooked up. It's a lot of truck. Anyway, doing all that, got the trailer off. I was able to lay the neck down, unload the machine, pick it back up, and hook back up like normal. Since all that stuff in the fifth wheel is spring activated, it doesn't matter if the handle's there or not, it still latches and holds just the same. Problem is now we've got to build a new handle, and we can't do that with the trailer hooked up to the truck. So we've got to get this thing off of here again. But here's my thought. I have to take that fifth wheel off to get to the bottom side of it to build the new handle and get it just right and pin it in there and all that stuff like I need to do. So instead of getting all up in there and fighting with the pry bar and wedging on the drive shaft and hoping when it pops out of there it doesn't wipe out an airline or wiring or hit anything in there, maybe I will use this trailer to take the whole fifth wheel plate up off the top of the chassis and pull just the truck out from underneath, leaving the plate hanging from the trailer. Now, I've never done that before, but I think it'll work. Okay, so for step number 1, I got the truck and trailer in a nice straight line. Next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab some tools and I'm gonna pull out these 2 pivot pins. These what the fifth wheel plate pivots on, and the only thing that holds the fifth wheel plate to the truck. So gotta remove these bolts, then take the weight off the trailer, and then take these pins out. There's one on each side. Once we do that, my plan is to run the landing gear down and use it to lift the trailer up off the chassis of the truck, which should take the fifth wheel plate with it. And then I can maybe dump the air on the truck and then drive the whole fifth wheel slider everything out from underneath. And then I have full access to the bottom side of that fifth wheel plate. Can actually build the new handle with the fifth wheel hanging from the trailer. I don't know if that sounds dumb or genius, but we're gonna try it either way. So, ow! So, these are the retaining bolts. Should probably try it this way. Their only job, they don't actually hold anything together. They're just a stop to stop that pin from coming out. Come on. Be nice. There we go. If there's not a trailer here, you could just put an impact gun on the top and zip this right out. But you know, trailer's stuck to it. come on. I think this is the easier way to do it. There we go. Okay, here's a tip. If you're gonna hammer a bolt up out of somewhere, leave the nut on so you're hitting the nut and not the end of the threads and screwing them all up. Okay, we got enough room to get the pin out. Now we gotta do the exact same thing on the other side. I just realized you're completely sideways right now because the camera screen rotated. I have fixed it in the editing by this point, but this right here is how it just filmed this whole thing, and I had to go back and like reframe it all. So you're welcome. Okay, both retaining bolts are out, and I didn't show you the other one because surprise, surprise, it looked just like the first one. So we're gonna get our trailer fired up. And we're gonna run our landing gear down to try to take just a little pressure off those pins. Started to lift on the back of the truck. This would be a lot more like fine-tuned adjustment if I dropped the airbag so they weren't screwing with us, but I want some more room in here. Oh, it's moving, look at that. There's no way we're getting that lucky today. Something's gonna go wrong. Got it. Now we got to come around this giant thing, do the same thing on the other side. The suspension of the truck is trying to adjust since I took weight off of it, and I think it tightened back up. Turns out the hammer works even if you don't swing it. Who would have thought? Okay, now back around this big giant thing, and here's the part I'm unsure of. Can we lift the trailer and get the fifth wheel up out of there, up over the top of these ramps, so we can drive the truck out from under? Okay, hydraulic landing gear trailer is really freaking cool. That worked out beautifully. If not, I was thinking we could take the Zacklift and grab the D-rings here and lift the trailer up, but I'm not even maxed out. It goes higher than that. Let's shut this off. Oh no, up is off. I can't believe you did that. I'm gonna leave it like that just for you. All right. Now we can look under here. That guy. Right there. That's our problem. Now I'm gonna get my wheel chocks out because in order to put this back together, I need the truck to be in the exact same spot it is right now. Then I can drop the trailer straight down and pin it back in place. So we're gonna put our wheel chocks right here so that when we pull forward, do what we need to do, and back in, the truck stops in the same spot. In theory. So now we can see under here very clearly. There's this hole right here. The handle's supposed to go through that hole, go through that hole, come into here, and then 90 go through that hole and has a cotter pin that holds it in place. Much like how this handle goes through, comes all the way over to here, pops up, and that does not have a cotter pin on this one. That's like a 90-90 setup. How in the heck do you get that in there? Because you would have to point it down to get that up to go through, but that is in there. Huh. I wonder if that was the same, or if there was a cotter pin in there like that holds this pin in place. Interesting. But while we're under here, you can see how different this fifth wheel is than a standard one. This is where the kingpin comes in, and instead of having the two jaws that kind of close behind the kingpin right there and that little spot, and they're about that thick and hold it in place, this has this one monster jaw you can see that is bigger than the pin itself. And this jaw pivots right here and swings back out of the way up into here to let the kingpin release. This right here is your spring-loaded latch on like a mousetrap setup. So you pull this handle out, it goes through linkage here, pivot point here, opens up this, and the spring latch holds it open. And then for a single lock fifth wheel, that would allow that big old monster jaw to swing out of the way as the kingpin pulls back out of it. But on this one, since it's a double lock, you also have this one here that pivots here, spring loaded being pushed from behind, so it springs in behind it. So it comes right here and is pushing on the jaw from that angle. So you have this latch right here, your normal fifth wheel jaw latch. Then you have this block right here, which is in a straight line to the angle this is trying to swing at. So even if you pull your fifth wheel release, this will not come unlocked because this one is shoving against it directly in the way it's trying to move. So to undo this fifth wheel, you have to pull your release, which opens all this up. Then you have to pull the handle that's supposed to be right here, which swings that whole latch out of the way and tucks it over here. Then it allows this big old jaw to swing over and your kingpin to come out. Now, a standard fifth wheel with your single pull lever, totally adequate and just fine for everything this truck will pull. A lot of heavy haul trucks, that's just what they have, a standard fifth wheel. And no matter how big of a trailer you put behind it and how many axles, the truck can still only put so much pulling force on it, and the standard fifth wheel will hold up to that. Where this truck is a little different, is this truck was designed to pull big multi-axle and dual lane trailers and all that. And wow, it is covered in a lot of bugs right now because I went over along the river. But it has a huge pull pin up front here with a big old beefy cross member that goes all back into the frame rails here, all braced up. And this truck is designed to have 300, 400, 500,000 pounds behind it, and then another truck or two in front of it pulling. So then when you get on a big hill and you're pulling and you've got hundreds of thousands of pounds back behind you, it's not just the power and force of this truck pulling on that fifth wheel, it's the power and force of multiple trucks daisy chained together trying to rip that apart. And that's where a standard fifth wheel is not adequate anymore, and why this one has this fifth wheel here where the jaw is even bigger than the pin. But anyway, time to get to making something to fix this today instead of trying to like order a handle and wait for it to show up who knows when. So I'm going to run to the hardware store and grab some round bar, and we're going to bend this up and build us another handle. And I think we'll take the old Willys wagon because that's fun to drive. I mean, that one's fun to drive too, but we're going to take the Willys today. If you can't tell, I like old cars. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, so I went and found a spot on the rollback to hammer on it and get a nice 90, so that can go in there. Pops through the bottom enough to put a pin in, and then that'll work. Okay, I need to get a Sharpie so I can draw a line for my latch. Okay, so we got our 90 on the end. I need to drill a hole in the very end of that, and then we've got a line here where I need to weld the stop on the back side of it. And we've got a line here, which is from this point on is where I'm clear to bend around and make my handle. So I'm gonna do some drilling, some welding, and some bending. Okay, so I went down to the shop, I drilled, I welded, I bent and I banged, and I welded some more. And we have a handle to put back under there. And I've got a washer and a cotter pin to go in the end to hold this thing in place. Now, those of you who've known me for a long time know that this is not the first time I have been completely screwed over by a cotter pin. I actually had on one of my trucks, for those that don't know, this is a completely different design, but on that truck there was a cotter pin. This is the brake pedal, not that. There was a cotter pin that held the brake pedal to the push rod that went and activated the foot valve for the brakes. That cotter pin fell out, that pedal fell off. I had no brakes and I ended up here. And that was a whole lot of not fun, and has made me not a fan of cotter pins. But I looked up the schematics for this fifth wheel and how I was confused because this handle uses this bent link design to stay in. I thought maybe the other one did too, but nope, the other one does use a washer and a cotter pin to hold it in place, just like what I'm going to do here. Okay, now we see if it fits. Got to angle it through there, push it through, pop it in place. Problem is, let me show you this. Up under here, it is right on the other side of that bar to get the cotter pin and bend it around. So I think if I pull this out and ratchet strap to the edge of the trailer, that'll put this in this opening right here, and then I can do this much easier. Yeah, that'll work. Where'd I put my pliers? So, our bar is in. We got a washer and a cotter pin through the bottom. We're through our link right there. And we remove the strap and see if our latch works. Okay, latched, pull out, pull up, and it hooks. And then when the fifth wheel comes in, off it goes. So out, and then our latch I welded on comes in, up, and that stops it from going back. Off it goes. Just like this one comes out. Oh, I just twisted the fifth wheel. Now it's not lined up anymore. Either way, same thing, comes out, goes up, latches, and then off it goes. Cool. We can put this back together, but first I'm going to throw some grease on the collars here. Okay, so I checked all the other pins and links and bushings and every other moving part in that fifth wheel, since I can get to all of it right now. All looks good. I did an adjustment on the jaw tension of this fifth wheel not too long ago, so that's good. Now it's time to back this up into that stop, see if all this lines up on here, and we can get those pins back in. Now, is it just me, or does that pin not look anywhere near lined up with that pin? I don't think I moved the wheel chock, but this trailer does move back a little as it goes. So, let's see what happens. I'm going to lower it down and see. Yeah, that definitely ain't right. Okay, go pull forward. We're off this way too, if you look. I don't know how, but we are. I went forward 4 feet and backed up 4 feet, and I didn't turn the wheel at all. Back here. I set the trailer down right on top and just squished you a little bit. So now that I'm close enough, that's a rounded saddle, so when it sits on it, it should center in that way. Surprised at how well that went. You know, technically now I can unhook the fifth wheel from the trailer, and then I can use the impact on this, because these pins are in. They're not going to go anywhere if I move forward 5 feet, so we're going to do that. Don't drop this. You know what that means? Our release worked. So now I will crawl up here since we can finally see the top. Here is the jaw sitting right here. This is the backside that goes up under here. And this big old piece back here that you can't see very much of is what actually holds the pin. So pin comes in, hits that. As it pushes that forward, it swings that big jaw plate over. And then you could see our main latch popped in because it's spring loaded on that mouse trap that we saw over here. And when the kingpin pushes up into this, it will release that mouse trap and shoot this lock over that comes in from this side. That's it right there. That's the main lock. Now our release that we just built, you could see it's no longer hung on the latch right there. It dropped down like it's supposed to, but it won't go back in because that big swinging piece that becomes a stiff arm holding that big jaw in place is still shoved over here by the jaw itself. So as the jaw goes up and swings over, this will come in until it lines up with it in a direct line of like the line of force for it to try to come open, and then our safety's in place. That's job done. All we got to do now is put our tools away and hook and unhook it like 15 times to test it. But first, anyone who has mentioned the words pre-trip down in the comments and said I should have caught this in a pre-trip and how dangerous that was, you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about, and you just proved it to everyone, because nobody has ever disassembled a fifth wheel to check all of its internal linkages and pins and stuff for a pre-trip. That's not part of a pre-trip. Never has been, never will be. It's not even practical to do. Also, nothing that happened here was any danger of the trailer coming unhooked going down the road. I could completely remove this handle, pull out a bunch of the other linkages and pins in there and everything, and the trailer will not fall off. It will actually be stuck on. All this stuff is spring loaded to fail in the locked position. Granted, if the right stuff comes out of there, can it cause that to come apart? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how little holds trailers onto trucks when you really get to thinking about it is kind of scary. Right here, see this slider right here? See these little grooves? Under here where you can't see, there's just a little piece of steel. And that ram, what's that? It's actually spring loaded out. But a piece of steel goes in here and in here. And that's what stops all this from sliding back and forth on the truck. Granted, this one has all this ramp set up here on the back, so it would be hard for it to slide off the back. But on a standard truck, you got a couple little 1-inch pieces of steel just wedged in a slide track like this, and that's all that's holding the fifth wheel to the truck. No matter how strong you make this or that or any of the other parts, it all ends up relying on those two little bitty pieces of steel right here. So no, this is not something I should have caught in the pre-trip. I pre-trip my trucks and trailers very well, as you saw by those earlier photos. I've almost been killed by a truck that had a mechanical failure going down the road, and I don't want to play that game again. So I check stuff out. This was there during the pre-trip, and I know that for a freaking fact because in order to load the machine, I had to unhook the trailer, meaning I had to pull the handle. So if it wasn't there, I could have never unhooked, never loaded the machine to haul it down the road to get to the unload, where I realized the handle wasn't there and the machine was stuck on the trailer. So it was there during the pre-trip. So you do your best, you check what you can, you make sure all your stuff's good to go, which clearly it all was. Like I said, zero danger of the trailer coming off due to that failing, especially since this is a double lock fifth wheel, meaning either one of these locks could completely fail and the trailer's gonna stay hooked up. Watch this. I'm gonna pull release number 1. So release number 1 is pulled, the safety lock held. So now I will pull the safety lock, pull out of the pin, back into it, then pull the safety lock and pull on release number 1 again. And we got to reset the latch. Now I'm going to pull the safety lock and leave the main one latched. Now I'll pull the main latch. Positive locks every time. Exactly what we wanted to see. So that's that. Fifth wheel's fixed. Truck and trailer ready to go back to work. Truck's ready to go hook the any trailer again, and we're all done. Thanks for hanging out and helping me fix it. I almost forgot. I gotta get a picture for a thumbnail that makes people think something way more dramatic happened, because unfortunately that's what works on YouTube. But trust me, I hate the fact that that type of thing is what works on YouTube, but the shitty part about my job as a YouTuber is that to some extent, in order to be successful, I have to be a YouTuber. So we play the game a little bit. It's not technically clickbait because I'm going to title it "My Fifth Wheel Failed." My fifth wheel did fail. I'm going to put a picture of the trailer and the truck, and the trailer on the ground because, well, the trailer lives on the ground. So all the fun of being a YouTuber.